The world had already been destroyed. To survive, people had to fight monsters every day. Among them was a solitary swordsman, the protagonist. He had spent his entire life fighting. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years. 10 long years passed like that, with nothing but battles against monsters. In time, the swordsman's blade became unmatched. No monster could stand against him. With a sword in his hand, he no longer feared anything. But something greater than the monsters lurked behind the scenes. The destruction of the world had not been random. A mastermind had been controlling everything from the shadows. When the truth was revealed, the swordsman didn't hesitate. He faced the mastermind head-on. The battle was intense and brutal. The mastermind was not easy to defeat, but the swordsman never gave up. After a long and fierce fight, he drove his sword into the mastermind's heart. At last, peace seemed to return. The swordsman closed his eyes, feeling a sense of calm for the first time in years. In Seoul, AC Great Gate had opened near Nansan Gate. Entry was strictly restricted, only registered heroes and teams of 3 or more could go inside. Yet that day, a lone, unregistered individual walked into the gate. Alarm sounded. The gate control center detected the breach and issued a public warning. Inside the gate, a group of registered heroes encountered the stranger. He looked out of place, dressed in plain, worn-out clothes, carrying an old bag. He didn't wear the usual gear of a professional hunter. The group assumed he was just a porter, someone left behind by a party who had grown tired of waiting for him. They tried to help, thinking he was in danger, but the man didn't seem to care. He simply said he had just entered and didn't need help. His calm, careless attitude unsettled the others. They decided it would be better if he learned the truth himself. A monster appeared. The man killed it with a single punch. He casually collected the low-grade magic stone from the monster's remains. Then he walked deeper into the gate. More monsters appeared, but he didn't stop. This time, he didn't even punch them. He threw the same magic stone, and the monsters died instantly. Soon, agents from the gate control center arrived. They demanded to see his hero registration. The man said nothing. When he didn't respond, the agents grew more aggressive. One of them held a 4th-grade magic sealing device and warned that if he didn't cooperate, they would take him by force. Still, the swordsman didn't even look at them. He spoke only once, his voice quiet but clear. "Stop being a nuisance and go back." The agents from the gate control center were furious. They attempted to subdue the unregistered man in front of them. But the stranger blocked their attacks effortlessly and redirected the force back with ease. In an instant, he disappeared and reappeared in front of one of the agents, landing a powerful punch to the agent's stomach. The agents were instantly subdued. Without a word, the stranger calmly turned and walked away. As he left, old memories stirred within him, memories of a life where he had been a sword master in a broken, monster-filled world. In an isolated space between life and death, he had met a dying young man named Seo Dujun. Dujun had one final request, to protect his grandmother and younger sister, Yuning. In exchange, he offered his body. The sword master accepted. Now he lived again, this time as Seo Dujun in a new, modern world. His first stop was a magic stone shop, where he offered to sell the stones he had collected. But the shopkeeper tried to exploit him, demanding a 40% commission. Seo Dujun's expression hardened. "That's robbery," he said. The shopkeeper scoffed and called in his backers to force Seo Dujun into compliance. But within seconds, all of them were lying on the ground, beaten effortlessly. 1% commission, Seo Dujun said coldly. The shopkeeper, now pale and shaking, quickly agreed. Seo Dujun returned home with the money. He showed it to his grandmother and Yuning. Both were stunned by the amount. When they asked where it came from, he calmly lied, saying it was a return from an old business investment he had made with a friend. Their eyes lit up. His grandmother and little sister were overjoyed, proud of him and relieved by their good fortune. But in Seo Dujun's mind, darker thoughts lingered. This world is too soft, he thought, and yet my power hasn't even returned by 10%. Later that day, 2 loan sharks showed up at his door. They claimed Seo Dujun owed them money, debts with absurdly high interest rates from before he had died. Frustrated, Seo Dujun stepped forward and punched them both, sending them crashing to the ground. "I've already paid what was owed," he said sharply. "Don't come here with your fake numbers again." Shaking with fear, the loan sharks scrambled away. That afternoon, Seo Dujun took Yuning out. He bought her a doll, then treated her to a nice lunch. She laughed and smiled, holding his hand tightly. But their peaceful moment was interrupted. A woman approached Seo Dujan, mocking and insulting him loudly in public. Annoyed and barely holding back, he looked at her and said bluntly, "With a face like that, you should watch your mouth." Before the woman could react, another voice called out. It was his stepmother. She appeared with fake concern, asking him to come back home. Seo Dujan didn't even hesitate. "Get lost," he said coldly. His stepmother flinched at the words and turned away, leaving quietly. Later that night, in a luxurious room, she sat with one of her loyal lackeys. Her expression was dark and cold. "How is he still alive?" she muttered, her voice dropped to a whisper full of venom. "I'll kill him, no matter what." With the sudden appearance of fracture zones across the world, monsters poured into human cities, plunging the world into chaos. But soon, heroes awakened, gifted individuals capable of fighting back. Thanks to their strength, the tide turned. Magic stones, harvested from monsters, became the new energy source, replacing fossil fuels and transforming the economy. In this new era, the fastest way to make money was to become a hero. Du Jun walked into the loan shark's office, calm and confident. The boss of the operation looked up from his desk, clearly irritated. "You've got some nerves showing up here after beating up my guys," the boss growled. Du Jun didn't flinch. "I'm here for compensation, for the physical and mental damage your men caused." The boss scoffed and snapped his fingers. More underlings came rushing in, confident they could handle him. But within minutes, they were all on the floor, groaning, bloodied, and broken. Du Jun stood over them, expression unchanged. "Make the money ready," he ordered. Then, his tone shifted slightly. "Tell me, was it my stepmother who told you to kill me?" The loan shark boss shook his head. "No, we thought the debt would push you to suicide. That's all. We didn't trap you in a gate." Du Jun narrowed his eyes. "Then bring me everything you have on Kang Choil-woo. He's the one who dragged me into the gate." Reluctantly, the loan shark handed over a hero registration card. It was a B-rank card, fake but functional. Du Jun looked at it, unfazed by the low rank. Despite the ranking warning, Du Jun entered the gate without hesitation. Inside, he faced a black death viper, a monster known for its venom and speed. Using a pair of gauntlets he had crafted himself, he killed it swiftly with a powerful strike. But strangely, there was no magic stone drop. Moments later, the boss Black Death Viper emerged. Larger, deadlier, and far more aggressive, Dujan landed the first hit, leaving a visible mark. But the monster retaliated, sending him flying back. He stood again, fists clenched, and delivered another heavy punch. Still, it wasn't enough. Looking around, he grabbed a broken sword from the ground and charged. The blade struck, but shattered on impact. Fortunately, the final hit was enough. The boss viper collapsed and died. Breathing hard, Dujan picked up the dropped reward, a rare material. His eyes sharpened. "I need my power back, fast." Later, Dujan returned to the shop where he had sold stones before. This time, he handed over a high-grade magic stone, the reward from the boss viper. The shopkeeper ran a quick appraisal and looked up, shocked. "It's worth 150 million won. Take your 1%, Dejun said calmly. "Hand over the rest." The shopkeeper hesitated. "For amounts over 150 million, I need my boss's permission." He pulled out his phone to make the call. Dejun's patience wore thin. He snatched the phone mid-call, spoke directly into it. "Give me my money." Then, without waiting for a reply, he tossed the phone aside, took the cash, and walked out. 10 minutes later, the shop owner's boss arrived. Seeing the aftermath, he immediately understood what had happened. This guy, realizing the situation was beyond normal handling, he made a call of his own. Shortly after, Ju Yoon, South Korea's 4th-ranked S-grade hero, arrived at the scene. Calm and powerful, she stepped into the room. "Tell me everything," she said. Du Jun sat calmly deep in thought. Despite hunting all day, he had barely managed to earn 100 million won. The rate was too slow. To progress faster, he needed to start clearing S-grade gates on his own, but to do that, he needed to recover the power he once wielded. Unfortunately, the mana in this world was far too scarce. Good equipment might help, but high-grade gear cost hundreds of millions, far more than he could afford right now. Just as frustration began to rise within him, the ground suddenly trembled. But this was no ordinary earthquake. A fracture, a dimensional rift, had formed right in Dujun's home. Without hesitation, Dujun stood up. He instructed his grandmother and younger sister to remain inside and not step out under any circumstances. Then, he stepped into the fracture. At the same time, the Seoul Special City Hero Association detected the sudden anomaly. The fracture's location in a civilian residence caused immediate concern. The association considered contacting the White Lion Guild but hesitated. They had already identified that Dujan had entered the fracture on his own, raising the probability of a monster wave erupting from it to 99.99%. Elsewhere, Dujun's stepmother received the report. She was furious. The fact that Dujun had awakened at a previous gate still gnawed at her. She rebuked Kang Choil Wu for his failure to eliminate him before. Ordering her subordinate to contact Kang Choil again, she was met with a smug reply. The effort was unnecessary. The fracture had occurred in Du Jun's own home, and he had already entered it. With a monster wave almost certain, they believed there would be no need to act further. Meanwhile, within the fracture, Du Jun looked around in disbelief. The space inside the gate, it was the same forest he had once visited in his past life as the Sword God. He wandered further and was astonished to see the world tree still standing tall within the gate. A slow smirk spread across his face. It was all coming back to him. Here, in this place rich in ancient mana, he could once again draw upon the power of the Sword God. Dujan sat motionless beneath the scorched canopy of the world tree, his mind stripped of distraction. For 10 long days, he focused solely on his breathing, unmoving, uncaring of hunger or thirst. The ambient mana within the gate swirled around him, responding to his stillness and discipline, as he harmonized his inner energy with the fractured world. Then, a familiar and loathsome presence stirred in the air, Volcano. The very beings responsible for burning the world tree in the past. Dujan opened his eyes slowly, his expression unreadable. He considered for a moment the advantage a water attribute sword would offer against them, but dismissed the thought just as quickly. It didn't matter, he had resolved to smash them to pieces, no matter the cost. With a deep exhale, he released the vast amount of mana he had cultivated over the past 10 days. It surged outward, condensed into Rocky, and then exploded in a sudden burst. The impact shook the trees, sending waves of power crackling through the air. Dujan staggered slightly. It had been a long time since he had poured out so much mana in one go. The strain bit into him, but the sensation was welcome. It reminded him of his former strength. The Volcano lunged. Dujan moved swiftly, parrying the blow with practiced ease. A sharp counter-strike followed, and with a burst of flame, the creature was reduced to ash. A dull clink echoed in the quiet forest as a magic stone dropped onto the scorched earth. He smirked. The real prize was yet to come. There it is, he muttered, stepping forward as the undying embers began to coalesce from the volcano's remains. Holding them in his palm, he began the absorption process. Fiery mana surged into his core, reshaping his energy, transforming his very nature. His mana attribute was now fire. Dujun's gaze grew distant, remembering how easily he used to fling embers across the battlefield in his past life, as casually as one might toss a stone, and now, here he was, gratefully absorbing even the smallest fragment.